tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to commence the lectures of the second semester of year 2023. We had a quite long break, more than around 2 months, because we had the semesters, the finals of the first semester for the monk studies in IIT. So in this semester, I'll be continuing with from the place where we stopped last time. We have been discussing about Chittaja Rūpas for few lectures. If you recap what we have done so far, Chittaja Rūpas are the matter that is produced by the mind. Whenever Chitta arises, it comes up, or it arises, or it appears with some Rūpa appearing in the entire body. The simile was given when a mushroom comes up from the earth. It carries some bit of soil on its top. So there is no mushroom that comes without carrying any soil. So likewise, almost all the chittas in our mind, while appearing in the Panchavokara realm, that is to say the humans, devas, and most of the Brahmas, whenever the chittas arise, they produce some subtle Rūpa matter in our entire body. And these Rūpas have different capacities. That is a different thing. They have different capacities. So now these Rūpas are called Chittaja Rūpas. Why the Chittaja Rūpas are necessary for living beings? Because how to make the interaction between mind and matter, especially how the mind is influencing the Rūpa. Mind doesn't have the capacity to change the posture, so cause some sort of an effect on the Rūpa. So what it does is, according to Theravada teachings, when mind arises with certain intentions, with it as a result some Rūpas appear, some Rūpas arise. Then they affect the body. If the intention is to move a certain limb, according to the desire, according to the intention of the mind, Chittaja Rūpas appear throughout the body in relevant places, and it makes a physical impact or a force. Then the body starts to move. Therefore, Chittaja Rūpas are very vital for living beings in order to sustain their lives, especially to act physically and verbally, also to maintain their postures. Then we also discussed, though Chittaja Rūpas are very vital in living beings, there are few occasions on which Chittaja Rūpas may not arise within us. That is, first is at the moment of Patisandhi, since the Chitta is quite weak, it's not associating a strong heart base, that Chitta is unable to produce Chittaja Rūpas. Then the last consciousness of every life, Chutti Chitta, does not produce Chittaja Rūpas. There are various opinions about this matter. According to commentaries, it is the last consciousness of Arahants that does not produce the Chitta Rūpas, but according to Mula Tika, all the Chutti Chittas do not produce Chitta Rūpas, Chutti Chittas of all living beings. And then 10 Vijnanas also doesn't have the capacity to produce Chitta Rūpas, since they are very weak. And the 4 Arupa Chittas also never produce Chitta Rūpas, because they only arise in the Arupa realm, a realm where Rūpa is not found. Rūpa is not found in any living being in the Arupa realm. Then we have 75 Chittas that can produce Chitta Rūpas. Even they do not produce at the moment of Patisandhi and at the moment of Chutti. And also they do this, producing Chitta Rūpas, only while they are arising in the realm of 5 aggregates, 5 Panchavokara realm. Right, that is how we define what sort of Chittas produce Chittaja Rūpas. Then we talked about Chittaja Rūpas. Chittaja Rūpas are 15 in number. There are 15. Then they arise in the entire body. Though the chittas that produce chittaja rupas arise in the heart base, which is located inside the physical heart, chittaja rupas appear in the entire body, not only in its proximity. It appears in the entire body. So what we have to consider here is we have to take this entire body as a one unit, mind and matter unit. We call it santana, interconnected unit. Whenever this chitta is arising, it affects the entire body. It can be a positive effect or a negative effect, that depends on the nature of the chitta, but we have to consider it as a one unit. I think there is a phenomenon called apostasis, if my pronunciation was correct. In biology, the cells are interconnected. Some cells do suicide themselves in order to save the other cells from them turning into be a cancer and destroying the other cells. So according to biology, they are working as a one unit. There is some sort of communication between them. It's not a communication through languages as living beings do, but somewhat one sort of a communication or a interaction, interchange of informations are found. So likewise, in Theravada teachings as well, this entire thing should be considered as a one unit. Another way to look into this, another place where this phenomenon is found is how the latent tendencies exist. According to the Burmese tradition, actually it's based on the commentaries. It's not something that emerged in Burma actually, but in Burma, the learned sayadaws thoroughly emphasize the existence of anusaya associating the 5 aggregates. It's a latent tendency. So where do they exist? Where are they? What are they associating? According to late Janakabhivansa Mahathera, they associate both mind and matter. Both mind and matter. The anusaya it's not found as a physical entity. It's an immaterial entity, but it depends not in the case like vijnana is depending on any vattu, but it is found associating, or it is found, it is said to be found. It's not found as a physical entity. It is said to be found associating all the matter in the living body and the consciousness. So what happens is, whenever the consciousness arises in us, in a being whose latent tendencies are not removed, anusaya is not removed, it's impossible that consciousness cannot avoid the influence of this latent tendency. So as a result, all the javana chittas of non-arahants become karma. They become capable of giving results. So here, even in this regard, we have to consider, though it's not a physical influence that is happening, but still it has to be considered as a one unit. Therefore, whenever we think about the life, consider as a one unit, but so they are interconnected. It's very difficult to differentiate them. It's like a chemical bondage. Chemical, or there are two types of bondages. I forgot the other name. It's sort of a chemical bondage between two atoms. So when the chemical bond, now if you think about hydrogen and oxygen, when they come together, they make a certain small molecule. These molecules, a small particle like H2O, then these molecules or particles, when they are existing together due to hydrogen bonds, they happen to manifest flowing nature, fluid nature. Fluidity is there. So this fluidity cannot be found in hydrogen or oxygen separately. Only when they come together, they manifest as such. In the same way, this mind and matter, when existing as a one unit, they appear to be as a one self. They are interconnected. Whenever we think to do something, the body acts accordingly. If I intend to stand, the body stands. If I intend to sit, the body sits. So therefore there is a strong interconnection between mind and matter, and the entire thing is acting as a one unit. That is also one reason why we get the strong self view. Strong self view. Self view can be found in arupa realm as well, because another thing is, it's not only the combination of nama and rupa, even the consciousness arising in a lineage, as a process, work according to the natural law of chitta niyama, and it becomes capable of performing mental activities. Therefore, since the consciousness is happening according to a law, taking the entire process, many generations of consciousnesses, one after another, since they act as a one unit, even the arupa beings get the idea of a self. So self view arises because of this interconnected behavior of mind and matter, and also sequential functioning of consciousness itself. So therefore, even even if the body is not existing in the arupa realm, the consciousness, only beings who have only the consciousness would still have the self view. Asanya satta beings doesn't get this idea because they don't have the consciousness to think so. But if question where do they possess anusaya, according to late Janaka Abhivansa, yes, their anusaya is existing, associating the rupa of those realms of their bodies. In the arupa realm, we associate the nama. In the panchavokara realm, we associate both nama and rupa. Now, coming back to the Chittaja Rupa's topic, we have to understand that the entire body and mind and matter is acting as a one unit. Therefore, Chittaja Rupas are not arising only in the area, on the proximity of the chitta, but the entire body. Then these Chittaja Rupas also play a vital role in increasing the suffering and bliss of living beings, especially related to the mind. If the mind is low, if the mind falls into the anger or sadness, it affects the body in a detrimental way. So our suffering increases. It's not, then afterwards it's not only a mental suffering, it also becomes a physical suffering. At the same time, when we are developing, enhancing our spiritual qualities, not only the mental bliss, but also we will be experiencing a physical bliss. That is also due to the influence of Chittaja Rupas over the body. Pleasant influence of chitta over the body, because the pleasant chittas produce pleasant Chittaja Rupas that would create good contacts with the bodily sensitivities, and we would feel comfort, bliss in the entire body. So Buddha has said, due to jhanas, beings feel as, not while they are in the jhana actually, after they have come out of the jhana, they feel like they are completely dipped in water. Right? So the higher the jhana is, higher the bliss is. Then we talked about Chittaja Kalapas. Chittaja Kalapas are the units of Chittaja Rupas. Chittaja Rupas, as any other rupa, do not arise alone. We know that it's a fundamental of the Theravada teachings, that none of the rupas can exist alone. It's not only related to rupa, but even namas. None of the realities can arise by its as a single entity. They always need the combination. They also need the coexistence of other realities. Therefore, even Chittaja Rupas arise in clusters. These clusters are called Chittaja Kalapas. Chittaja Kalapas are eightfold. We have discussed there are 8 types of Chittaja Kalapas, though only 6 are mentioned in the Abhidhammatta Sangaha. Clearly, the Visuddhimagga and other books states 2 other Chittaja Rupas. So therefore, Paramatta Dipani has enumerated 8 Chittaja Kalapas. Then these Chittaja Kalapas were further categorized into few groups. Chittaja Kalapas with Lahuta, Mudita, Kamanyata, Chittaja Kalapas with Vinyati, and Chittaja Kalapas Chittaja Kalapa and Attamaka Kalapa, the Kalapa with 8 Rūpa and Lahuta, and together with Lahuta, Muduta Kammanyata, and also Chittaja Kalapas with sound. With sound. So that was the 4 types of categories we analyzed last time. Then we have Chittaja Santati. Chittaja Santati is a process of Chittaja Rupas arising due to various reasons. The process of Chittaja Rupas arising in due to various reasons. So Chittaja Santati, now if you focus on our lesson today, Chittaja Santati is the lineage of Chittaja Rupas. Chittaja Rupas. We can find all the Sankata realities, conditioned realities exist in generations. Like many generations can be found in them. It's not that they end with one generation. It's not that the Kalapas, no, any reality, conditioned reality arises and passes away just as a one generation or one entity. You know, most of the cases, their lineage would continue. That is how it is. But it doesn't mean that completely this lineage would continue forever. Some lineage we later learn how long this lineage would last. Now, Chittaja Santati are the lineage of Chittaja Rupas. It means the Chittaja Kalapas. When a Chittaja Kalapa arises, it lasts for some period and it passes away. Before its passing away, some other Chittaja Rupas arise and they also last for some time. So this is what is happening, right? So then likewise, Chittaja Rupas may keep on arise. So each and every Chittaja Rupa is mostly not related to the previous Chittaja Rupas. The reason is every Chittaja Rupa is produced by a certain Chitta. For example, if Chitta 1 produces Chittaja Rupa 1, Chitta 2 is responsible for the Chittaja Rupa 2. Chittaja Rupa 2. Now in terms of Karmaja Rupas, if you remember, one karma produces the entire lineage of Karmaja Rupa. So Karma 1 produces this Karmaja Rupa, which lasts for 17 mind moments, and then the same karma produces the next Kalapa as well, which lasts for another 17 mind moments. Right? So in a one lineage of Karmaja Rupas, the same karma is producing Karmaja Rupas one after another. Then there is another lineage we shall study. For example, now in the Utuja Kalapas as well, the same thing happens. Now number 1 Utu, Tejo Dhatu, produces certain Chittaja Utuja Kalapas. We shall learn them later. Utuja 1. So then what happens? Another Utu number 2 produces another Utuja Kalapa. Right? Another Utuja Kalapa. So these generations, these various generations or the lineage, we take this entire thing as the lineage. Santati is the entire thing. Right? Santati is the entire thing. So Rupas of a Santati are produced by, most of the cases, produced by different causes. Only in the case of karma, the same karma is producing all the Rupas of this process, of this lineage. In other cases, if you take Oja 1 produces Oja Aharaja 1. Then Oja 2 produces Aharaja 2. Right? So likewise, it keeps on going. Now, another way of explaining the lineage, we shall learn them later, that Now karma, for example, Utu 1 produces Utuja Rūpa. Utuja Rūpa 1. Utuja Rūpa are the matter produced by Tejo Dhatu. So Utuja Rūpa 1 is produced and it lasts for 17 mind moments. Then what happens? This Tejo during its existing period, persistent period, this Utuja Rūpa during its persistent period produces another Utuja Rūpa. This is quite different from the previous lineage. Now this Utu is producing another Utuja Rūpa. This Utu is producing another Utuja Rūpa. We may call Utuja Rūpa 1.1, for instance. 1.1. So this Utuja Rūpas, the second Utuja, now this Utuja Rūpas produce another Utuja Rūpas as their offspring. This Utu is different from the previous. Now this Utuja Rūpa, another Utuja Rūpa may reproduce Utuja Rūpa number 2 by a different Utu. So what we are talking here is this type of lineage. We are talking about these types of lineage as Santati. Now their offspring is a different lineage. So here we have to understand, when we are talking the Santatis, there are two types of Santatis. One is the main cause is outside the process lineage, is outside the lineage. Within the lineage there can happen some other processes. Some other processes can occur within the lineage as well. Right? So this second Utuja may produce another Utuja Kalapa, which I may call 1.1.1. So this lineage will also continue while this lineage may also continue as long as these causes are existing. Now these are the two types of lineages that we find in Rūpa. It's very vital to understand. Now second types of lineages we shall discuss later on collectively, how long such lineages would last. Here we are talking about a lineage based on the main cause that is outside the processes. Now that would be clear when we come to those lessons in future lectures. So at the moment we are focusing on Chittaja Santatis. Chittaja Santatis means processes that occur due to Chittaja, due to consciousness. Now from within these lineages as well, in order to make it a bit clearer, now these Tejo Dhatu of these Rūpas may also produce some other matter, processes of matter, 1.1 for instance, right? That is not in our discussion today. These things are not the topics, is not our focus today, right? So our focus is about the Chittaja Santatis produced by various consciousness. There are three types of Chittaja Santatis in our Sasana. Three types of Chittaja Santatis. First is Panchadvarika. Panchadvarika Chittaja Santati means the Chittaja Rūpas arising due to the mind processes in the 5 sense doors. Mind processes of the 5 sense doors. For instance, mind processes, if I draw a mind process, for example, Atita Bhavanga, past Bhavanga, we shall learn them later. We haven't studied them in this course. Then we have Bhavanga Chalana, Bhavanga Upacheda. So instead of writing them different names, I shall call them 3 Bhavangas. 3 Bhavangas. Then appears the Panchadvara Vajjana, Chakku Vijnana, Sampatichana, Santirana, Vottapana. Then we have 7 javanas. Tadalambana, and then back into the Bhavanga. All the processes, all the Chittaja Rupas that are arising due to these consciousness are called Chittaja Santati. So they may arise from here, from the arising moment of the Panchadvara Vajjana Chitta, arising moment Panchadvara Vajjana Chitta, and last for 16 mind moments, because this is a one mind moment, and then another 16 mind moments. It means this after 7 mind moments, after the Tasdalambana, and they pass away. So all the rupas that are happening, that are occurring or arising during this process is called Chittaja Santati, Panchadvarika Chittaja Santati. Because the final Chittaja Rupas produced by Tadalambana last for another 16 mind moment, and they vanish. Right? And they vanish. So this process started from the Panchadvara Vajjana Chitta. So all the Rupas produced by these consciousness are Chittaja Rupas. I have to correct one point. Now here the Chakku Vijnana doesn't produce any Chittaja Rupas. Chakku Vijnana doesn't produce any Chittaja Rupas. The remaining Vijnanas do produce Chittaja Rupas. Right? So they last for this much of time. So if we analyze it more, a Panchadvarika means a mind process happening in the 5 sense doors. A Panchadvarika Chittaja Santati can last for example, if we count this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, then we have 7, 12, 13, 14 plus 16, 30 mind moments. Panchadvarika Chittaja Santati lasts for 30 mind moments in the entire body. Then that is the first type of Chittaja Rupas. What we need to think is all the Chittas in the 5 sense process except the 10 Vijnanas do produce Chittaja Rupas, and they last for some period. Then if another 5 sense door process happens, again the process starts. It's not only found in one location, it's found in the entire body. That's what we need to think. It's found in the entire body, these Chittaja Santatis. Then we move on to Manodvarika Chittaja Santati. Chittaja Santati. Manodvarika process is Bhavanga. We normally write 3 Bhavangas. Then we have Manodvara Vajjana and 7 Javana. Tadalambana, then back to Bhavanga. Even in these processes, now Chittaja Rupa starts to arise from the rising moment of the Manodvara Vajjana Chitta, and then the final Chittaja Rupa will be produced by Tadalambana, and that lasts for another 16 mind moments. This will be first mind moment, another 16 mind moments. This means altogether 17 mind moments. From that moment, they last for this much of a period. So if you count the number, here we have 7, 10, 10 is 26, 26 mind moments. 26 mind moments. These Chittaja Santatis last for 26 mind moments. Even after the Chitta Viti has stopped. Chitta Viti has stopped. In the previous case, it lasts for 30 mind moments. 30 mind movements. When we say Chittaja Santati, refers to all the Rūpas in this process. We have to take it as a one unit. We take it as a one unit. In Vipassana meditation, when we contemplate, what we do is contemplate all the arising of Chittaja Santati and passing away of Chittaja Santati. This is called contemplating Udaya and Vaya, Udayabhaya Jnana. We take it as a one unit. We take it as a one unit. Here also we take it as a one unit. Then we have another Chittaja Santati called Samapatti Chittaja Santati. Samapatti Chittaja Santatis means these processes last for a longer period. Now starting with Bhavanga, 3 Bhavangas. Then we get Manodvara Vajjana, Javanas, 4 Javanas. Then we move on to Appana Javana, APJ, Appana Javana. Many Appana Javanas starts to arise. It may even last for days. Then after the Appana Javanas have stopped, the mind process falls into Bhavanga. The mind process falls into Bhavanga. Then the Chittaja Rūpas that are produced during this Samapatti are called Samapatti Chittaja Santatis. Even they last for after this is one mind moment, then 17 for 17 mind moments. 16, they last for 16 mind moments after the Samapatti has ended. Right? So this is the Samapatti Santati, Chittaja Santati. There is no exact limit of mind moments for a Samapatti Chittaja Santati, since the Appana Javanas may arise for a longer period. For example, if the initial attainment, then the process is much shorter. We may get sometimes we get 5 javanas, in some occasions 4 javanas. So in such occasions, the Chittaja Santati would be much shorter. But if someone has abided in the Samapatti for a long period, then the Chittaja Santati can last for a much longer period. Right? So this is the Samapatti Chittaja Santati. This Chittaja Santati is very helpful to the body. Very helpful to the body. It's mostly supportive. It even can cure certain sicknesses. It is mentioned in the commentary of the Mahaparinibbana Sutta that Buddha was suffering from a very serious sickness while he was spending his last vasa at the village of Belua. Then Venerable Ananda seriously he thought the Buddha would pass away, means he would enter Parinibbana. But Buddha somehow managed to enter into a very special Samapatti called Jivita Sankhara Tapana Samapatti. Jivita Sankhara Tapana Phala Samapatti. Phala Samapatti. Jivita Sankhara Tapana Phala Samapatti. Jivita Sankhara, so it made the Jivitindriya Rūpa to last longer. So Jivita Sankhara Tapana Phala Samapatti is quite different, because when you enter into Samphala Samapatti, you are supposed to do, the noble beings are supposed to contemplate, do Vipassana meditation, contemplate realities of Anicca, Dukkha and Anatta. So there is, in the Sammasana level, or while we are contemplating, there is a contemplation called Rūpa Sattaka, Arūpa Sattaka method. It means we contemplate on the Nama Rūpas in very detail. So if a noble being enters into Phala Samapatti having done the Rūpa Sattaka, Arūpa Sattaka method, it means having contemplated the Nama Rūpas in detail, that Phala Samapatti has the capacity to strengthen or upgrade the qualities of the entire Rūpas of the entire body. So what happened was, when Buddha abided in this special Samapatti, the sickness was subdued and he recurred only on the day of his Parinibbana. For many months it didn't reappear. But normal other Samapattis also have some positive effects to the body, but they are not capable of suppressing the sicknesses as much as this Jivita Sankara Tapana Pala Samapatti does. So therefore these Samapatti, Chittaja Santatis are very useful, and since they last for a longer period and also their significance has been explained in some places by the Buddha. So we correctly take them as a separate Santati. Now after someone has emerged from the jhana, because these Chittaja Rūpas are also a very important factor why beings are attached to jhanas. If you can recall on yourself, if you have had some meditation experiences, yes, when you are well focused on an object, mentally we feel very happy and tranquil. But this happiness is greatly supported by the physical bliss that we are experiencing during meditation. Our bodies become cool, they are felt like floating, you feel the lightness, passaddhi, tranquility. They are a very big reason for us to go into meditation again, and most of the yogis crave for such experience. And that is a bliss that Buddha has even recommended. The Buddha would never say, do not abide in jhana. He would say, do not get attached to a jhana. That's a different case. But developing jhana, attaining jhana is highly praised in Buddha's teachings. So this type of bliss is something that yogis should experience, should try to experience. So this physical happiness or physical bliss that we experience is mainly due to the Chittaja Rūpas produced by these Samapatti Vitis. Right? So after someone has emerged from this jhana, instead of enjoying the bliss, mental peace that he or she had, and the physical blissful feeling that he or she would be experiencing on that moment after they have emerged from the jhana, they have to contemplate the Rūpas that occurred during the Samapatti Viti have passed away after 16 mind moments from the emergence from the Samapatti. Right? So this is taken as a one single unit. So all these three Santatis, Panchadvarika, Manodvarika and Samapatti Santatis are considered Viti Chittaja Santati. Viti Chittaja Santati. Viti Chittaja Santati. Then we have Viti Mutta Chittaja Santati. You have Viti Mutta Chittaja Santati. Viti Mutta Chittaja Santati are the Chittaja Rūpas produced by Bhavanga Chittas. Viti Mutta Chittas. Chittas apart from the Viti. Chittas that are arising not as Vitis, not as mind processes. Viti Mutta Chittas in one life are produced by the same karma. It means, for instance, a certain karma, if they karma 1, gives patisandhi in one life. Then that same karma produces the bhavanga chittas. Then this continues till the last chuti chitta. We know that the quality of the Chittaja Rūpas greatly depend on the nature of the Chitta. If the Chitta is pleasant or with bliss, happiness, the Chittaja Rūpas will be positive to the body. if the chitta is of bad temper or bad nature, then the chittaja rupas would also have that negative effect. So therefore, now think the nature of these chittas, viti mutta chittas, patisandhi bhavanga chutti chittas, produced by a certain karma. If this karma is strong, these chittas would also be strong and powerful. Then the chittaja rupas that are produced by these chittas would also have that good quality. We have to keep in mind, according to the teachings, patisandhi chitta does not produce any chittaja rupas, and according to Mula Tika, chuti chitta also does not produce any chittaja rupas. So viti mutta chittaja santatis are only produced by bhavanga chittas. According to commentaries, non-arahants chuti also can contribute to this. It's just a one mind movement. So and also Mula Tika has, and Lady Sayadaw has strong arguments to say that the chuti chitta does not produce chitta. So we'll just leave it as it is. So we are focusing only on bhavanga chittas. Only the bhavanga chittas are producing viti mutta chittaja santati. And these viti mutta chittaja santatis are found in our body all the time. Almost all the time. Why is that? Now think about chittaja santati. Now chittaja santati means all the rupas produced by particular chittas. Viti chittaja santati are all the rupas produced by chittas in a one viti. All the rupas produced by chittas in one viti is a chittaja viti chittaja santati. So viti mutta chittaja santati means all the rupas produced by bhavanga chittas. Normally we don't encounter in the literature that these viti mutta chittaja santatis, like these rupas produced by bhavanga chittas, are normally not considered as a one unit, as a one lineage. We don't find such information, but it seems it is possible to name them, but there can be some other opinions as well. So therefore, I would just leave it whether we consider it as a one entity or not, but still we can find a generation. Generationally we can call it, but whether we consider it as a one unit as it was done with the viti chittaja santatis, that is something to be further researched or think about, right. So now these rupas exist in our body, are found in our body all the time. Why is that? Because now if you think about panchadvarika chittaja santatis, now these bhavanga chitta, the final bhavanga, for example, produces chittaja rupas, the previous bhavanga also. So these chittaja rupas can last for 17 mind moments. So if you take this as the first mind moment, then we have 14 chittas here, then it will be the 15th one compared to this one, then 16 and 17. So these rupas do last 2 mind moments till 2 mind moments after the last chitta of the mind process. So therefore, even though during this period no chittaja viti mutta chittaja rupa is produced, even though because since we have one consciousness at a time, during the mind process no chittaja viti mutta chittaja rupas are produced, but still all viti mutta chittaja rupas are still found in the body. So then immediately from the next bhavanga, viti mutta chittaja rupa starts to arise. So therefore, there is no time in our bodies that where viti mutta chittaja santatis are not found. It is not found at the moment of patisandhi. That is a different case because that chitta doesn't produce. So chitta rupas, none of the chitta rupas are existing in the body at that moment. Then on all the other occasions, we can find viti mutta chittaja santatis. When I say in our bodies, I was referring to the beings who doesn't have samapattis. But the thing changes in special cases. But ordinary beings who doesn't have samapattis, always we have this viti, mutta, chittaja rupas in our body all the time. Now what happens is the quality of this chitta greatly depends on these rupas, on these rupas. Now think, if this is our body as a one unit, take it as a one unit, right? Take it, okay, we'll just draw it a box, easier, without hands and things, right? So if we take this as a one unit, our body, viti mutta chittaja santatis, viti mutta chittaja rupas are found all the time in our bodies, are found all the times in our body. Then time to time viti chittaja santatis are also found. Viti chittaja santatis are also found time to time. Now viti mutta chittaja rupas are found. So viti mutta chittaja rupas are produced by bhavanga chitta, and that bhavanga is produced by the kamma which gave the patisandhi kamma. Nature of the patisandhi kamma is greatly related with the nature of the bhavanga chitta. Then nature of the bhavanga chitta is related with the viti mutta chittaja rupas. If viti mutta chittaja rupas are always found in our body, we cannot avoid the influence or the effects of our past karma in our body all the time, right? All the time. So if this karma was a duhetuka kamma or a tihetuka omaka, then the effects of these rupas would not be a very supportive, means it's not very supportive as if it was the tihetuka ukkutta kusala kamma. And the qualities such as saddha and all this would have also affected the chittaja rupas. So it shows that this karma plays a vital role, and how important it is that the viti mutta chittaja rupas in our body, because it is found all the time. But if someone has certain attainments, if they have certain attainments, and if their attainments could last for a longer period, maybe for hours, then there is a period that viti mutta chittaja rupas may not be existing in their body for some time. Now if this chittaja rupa 17, if the 17 mind moments ends here, it has to pass away. Then there will be no chittaja santatis, viti mutta chittaja santatis in that body anymore, right? As long as till he emerges from the jhana or the samapatti. So then during this period there will be only samapatti chittaja santati. So if someone wants to avoid this effect of the past karma towards the body through the chittaja rupas, then he or she has to be in a samapatti, right? It's not a very serious case, but that's how we should analyze. So always think that viti mutta chittaja rupas are found in our body all the time. So it means our past karma, the karma that gave the patisandhi is greatly influencing our body all the time, right? So these are the points that I would like to emphasize on today's lecture. I shall read the handout. Chittaja santati is the process of chittaja rupas, kalapas. Mainly there are two types of chittaja santati, vichi chittaja santati and viti mutta chittaja santati. Since viti chittaja santatis are further divided into three subcategories, altogether there are four chittaja santatis, right? Four chittaja santati. Panchadvarika chittaja santati, rupas produced by chittas in the five sense doors, five sense processes. Manodvarika chittaja santati, rupas produced by the consciousnesses in mind-door processes. Samapatti viti chittaja santati, the Chittaja Kalapas produced by the Chittas in Samapatti Vitis. Then Viti Mutta Chittaja Santati is the generation of Chittaja Kalapas, or the lineage of Chittaja Kalapas that arise due to Bhavanga Chittas, right? Then we look into some of the special features. Viti Chittaja Santati. We can observe the following features in Viti Chittaja Santatis. There are 3 types of Viti Santati, that's obvious. Okay. Viti Chittaja Santatis end in 16 mind moments after the respective mind process has ended. After the respective mind process has ended, in all the cases after 16, because this mind moment still belongs to the Viti process, after 16, from here, after 16 mind moments, it means the 17th mind moment of the last Chittaja Rupas that was produced by the Viti Chittas, the process ends. Whether it's a Samapatti Viti or the Panchadvarika Viti or Manodvarika Viti, the Chittaja Santati has to end after 16 mind moments. Moreover, all the Rupas in one Viti Chittaja Santati are called Santati Pachuppanna of Chittaja Rupas. This is called Santati Pachuppanna. Should be considered as a one unit. Unlike in Kammaja Santati, in a single Viti Chittaja Santati, various types of Chittaja Kalapas can arise. For instance, while speaking, Javana Chittas will produce Chittaja Kalapas with sound, whereas Sadarammana of the same Viti may produce Chittaja Kalapas without sound. Moreover, while speaking, the Javana Chittas involved will not only produce Chittaja Kalapas with sound, but also mind-born Kalapas without sound that can maintain the bodily postures. All aforementioned 8 types of Chittaja Kalapas can arise in Vichitta Santatis accordingly. Then, Chittaja Rupas arising due to Sampatichana, Santirana, Tadalamana and Palajavana Chittas are also called Kamma Pachaya Chitta Samuttana Rupas, because in these processes there are some Vipaka Chittas. This is a Vipaka Chitta and these are Vipaka Chittas. So, Chittaja Rupas produced by Vipakas, that is a Kamma produces Vipaka Chitta, and these Vipaka Chitta produces Chittaja Rupa. These are called Kamma Pacche Chitta Samuttana. Right? Kamma Pacche Chitta Samuttana Rupas. Right? So, Kamma Pacche Chitta Samuttana Rupas is also applicable to Tadalammana in Mindo processes and Palajavanas in the Samapatti processes. Viti Mutta Chitta Santati, we can see the following characteristics. Vichi Mutta Chitta Santati based on Pattana teachings can be further classified into following categories: Ahetuka, Tihetuka and Dvihetuka, because the nature of the karma greatly affects the nature of the Chittaja Rupas. Then Oja Attamaka Lahutadi Ekadasaka Saddha Navaka and Saddha Lahutadi Dwadasa Kalapas can arise in Viti Mutta Chittaja Santati. Chittaja Kalapas with Vinyati does not arise in Viti Mutta Chittaja Santatis. In Viti Mutta Chittaja Santatis we don't have Vinyati. Bodily, physical, verbal actions are not done. But sound is produced. Why? Because the breathing happens. According to Theravada teachings, breathing is always associated with sound kalapas. Maybe it's because we get some sound while we are breathing. So, therefore, saddha can happen, but not with the vinyati. All the rupas that arise in Viti Mutta Chitta Santati are Kamma Pacche Chitta Samuttana. They are produced, since they are produced by Vipaka Chittas, they are Kamma Pacche Chitta Samuttana. There are very few occasions on which Chittaja Santatis is Viti Mutta Chittaja. Viti Chittaja Santati is not found in the body, Viti Mutta Chittaja Santati. That it should be Viti Mutta Chittaja Santatis are not found in the body of living beings pertaining to the Panchavokara realm. At the moment of Patisandhi, obviously, already existing Viti Mutta Chittaja Santati stops together with the vanishing of the 16th consciousness in a Samapatti Viti. It only happens in Samapatti Viti. Other Vitis, other Viti Mutta Chittaja Rupas can overlast the Viti Chittaja processes, right? Overlive the Viti process. Then Viti Mutta Chitta Samadhi stops together with the vanishing of the 16th consciousness in a Samapatti Viti. After that, till the next Bhavanga Chitta, no Viti Mutta Chitta Rupas arise in the being's body. Already existing Viti Mutta Chitta Santatis temporarily cease either after 9, 10 or 11 mind moments after entering into the Nirodha Samapatti. That is another case. It is also involved in the Nirodha Samapatti Vitis, but the difference is in Samapattis we have different Viti Chittaja Santatis are found, but in Nirodha Samapatti no Chittaja Rupas are found after few mind moments, right? Either after 9, 10 or 11 mind moments, because the number of Parikarma, Upachara, Anuloma, Gotrabhu Chittas may change, and the number of Neva Sanya, Nasanya, Ayatana, Javana can also change according to the person. So therefore we have 3 possibilities. According to Anutika, even at the moment of Chuti, no Viti Mutta Chittaja Santati is found, because Viti Chittaja Rupas also stops 17 mind moments before the Chuti according to Anutika. It should be further researched whether the Viti Mutta Chittaja Santati is taken as a one single unit or generation within one life, like each Kammaja Santati within Theravada tradition. It's not something to be thought about. Now next day I will be doing, I think I have done this lesson before as well, but somehow next day I will be doing the some other important factors of Chittaja Rupas. Now their capacities, how some Chittaja Rupas can perform certain verbal physical actions. Some Rupas can hold the postures kept by previous Chittas, and some consciousnesses have the capacity of performing certain functions such as crying, smiling, dancing and so forth. So some interesting topics will be discussed from the next week, and will also be sometimes maybe if I am because I also need to inform, since we have the Upasampada ceremonies of our sect in Sri Lanka, the Kalyani Yoga Ashrama, sometimes I may not be able to do the class. I shall inform it before if I have to participate in the Upasampada ceremony in a different monastery far away from IIT. So if cannot, we will be doing it on the next Monday as usual. Yeah. So thank you for listening. I think I have concluded the lecture. So Chittaja Santatis was the topic today, and we have to consider the entire body as a one unit and how these Chittaja Rupas are affecting the body in various ways. So I give the opportunity to ask questions. Yes.
Everyone Savai, Swami the question I really want to ask is about the Chittaja Santati, because anyway you will be talking more about the Viññati Rūpa later, but out of the Chittaja Rūpas, what you have given as a list, because I am trying to compare from the 28 different Rūpas, you have identified only certain Rūpas will become Chittaja Rūpas. So from that also, if you go to Viññati Rūpas, they only have a life of one mind mode. So such Rūpas which only have one mind moment life will not be able to form Chittaja Santati. Am I right if I take it that way?
No, Viññati are found in Kalapas. Viññatis are found in Kalapas. So Kalapa, the entire Rūpa Kalapa produced by the Chitta can last for 17 mind moments, because Rūpas have 17 lifespan of 17 mind. Viññatis are not real Rūpas. These are just intimations. They are just we call them sub-characteristics of the Rūpas, mainly the 4 great elements. So Viññatis are the we can call it the a print, like of a not as a blueprint, but some sort of effect. It indicates how the Rūpa is affected by the Chitta. So it is like now if the mind wants to move forward, that intention is imprinted in the Rūpa. It's not sort of labeled or named, but the Rupa is behaving in a way according to the Chitta. So this influence, Chitta influence, this is influence of the Rupa on the Rupa by the Chitta. So when the Chitta has passed away, that influence is no more. So Viññati is something we have to consider. The Rupa arises and exists, but while the Chitta is present, Rupa is arising, while the Chitta is present, it's under the influence or the control or the better to say the influence of the Chitta. So the Rupa doesn't behave in another way other than what the Chitta has intended. So it's like it's in the Vasangaya. Vasangaya means it's in the completely control of the Chitta, not entirely. This is not the advocation of a self-doctrine, but if the mind wants to move forward, the Chittaja Rupas that arise in the body due to this mind are behaving according to the mind. Under the influence of they cannot go beyond the intentions of the consciousness. So that influence is the Viññati Rupa. That is found in a form of a matter. It's considered as some sort of a change that occurs in four great elements that are not found in inanimate bodies. Because inanimate bodies, though they are not under my control, I may take them and move by a different physical force. But in this case, mind is completely influencing the Rupa under its into its intentions. So therefore Viññati cannot stand beyond the Chitta, the lifespan of the Chitta. After the Chitta has passed away, the influence of Viññati, the influence of Chitta cannot be found. So that's why we say Viññatis last for just one mind moment. Viññatis are not some type of production of a Chitta. It's not a separate entity, but Rupas, for instance, even the Chitta has passed away, Rupa can still exist. Why is that? Because Rupa is a independent entity of the Chitta. So even the cause has passed away, the effect can still exist. But Viññatis are not like other Rupas. They are just the influence of the Chitta upon the Rupas. So due to this influence, a certain change is found in the four great elements. That change is coined or named as the Viññati Rupa. So that's how we should understand this. So Viññatis are not concretely produced Rupas, so there's no issue. Even they are absent, the Rupa Kalapa can still exist.
I have a second question also. That is actually after listening to even this explanation you just gave now. Also talking about the Kama Pacchaya Chitta Samutthana Rupa which you mentioned, I got the idea that actually though we try to classify as Kamaja Rupa, Chittaja Rupa, Aharaja Rupa, etc., but it's not a mutually exclusive classification because it seems to be that when the Rupa Kalapas are produced or Rupa Santatis are produced, there is a mixture of these pratyas even in that. Kamaja Rupas definitely have Aharaja Rupas also in it.
Oja Rupa.
Like Oja Rupas in it. So likewise, that four classification is not mutually exclusive, but it's four factors which can work in combination, work in a mix to produce the Rupas from time to time. Because then the explanation you gave about the Viññati Rupa's effect on other Rupas is also perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, in that case, I think I have given when before the at the beginning of the Rupa Samutthana, the origin of Rupas, this fundamental was discussed. Actually, there are four major causes which produce Rupa. Even Kamapacchaya Chitta Samutthana, the proximate cause, the main cause is Chittaja Rupa, Chitta. So it is a Chittaja Rupa. But according to Theravada teachings, there is no Rūpa Kalapa that is directly produced by two or more major causes, two or more major causes. But influence of other causes are found. For example, the mansions of the divine beings. These mansions under the fourfold categorization falls under Utuja Rupas. But such Utuja Rupas would never happen if the wholesome Kamma was not there. So such Rupas are called Kamma Pacchaya Utu Samuttana. So then the question arises, under which category they fall? Are they Kammaja Rupas or Chittaja Rupas, Utuja Rupas? The commentators are very specific on this regard. They say it's Utuja Rupas, but influenced by the karma, because if there was no karma, such Rupa would never have happened. Then that is called rather than telling that through a blend, we can say that it's the causes have blended in to produce one Rupa, but still the tradition recognize what is the major cause. There is only one major cause in one Kalapa, or for one Kalapa. Then we have a lineage connection, as it happened in the Kamma Pacchaya Chitta Samutta. Kamma produces Vipaka Chitta, and so you cannot avoid the effect of the karma on the Vipaka Chitta, and the Vipaka Chitta is producing Chittaja Rupa. So obviously the effects of the karma is found in this Chittaja Rupa. So there is a linear causation, and there is another linear causation which I discussed in the beginning, explaining the two types of lineages that we find. In this regard, Utuja Rupa is producing new Utu is producing new Utuja Rupas. At the same time, Tejo Dhatu in these Rupas are producing new Kalapas. The same way the Oja, Ahara in this Kalapa may produce Aharaja Rupa. So this Aharaja Rupa, the proximate cause is Oja, so it falls under Aharaja Rupa, but it is called Utu Pacchaya Ahara Samuttana. Utu Pacchaya Ahara Samuttana. Ahara Samuttana means produced by Oja, Ahara. But it was a Ahara of a Utuja Kalapa. Utuja Kalapa. So therefore, linear causation is found, and at the same time, some effects of other causes are also found. But Theravadians are strictly on the fundamental that every Kalapa has its one major cause. So we can categorize them as Chittaja, Utuja, Aharaja and Kammaja. But we have to accept, and they do acknowledge, that in some cases the influence of other causes are also found. As this is a doctrine of multiple cause and effect. So as you said, we also have to understand that always there are multiple causes for every effect.
Much merits to you, Swaminathan sir. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And it's very clear that it is a very, very complex process which has been actually simplified to a great extent through the Abhidhamma explanation. So it's much more complex than that, and that is what is quite obvious. Much merits to you, Theravada Saranai.
Thank you, Pandit. I have a question about the Jivika Sankara Palasamapati. So you said that during that time, well, I mean, it's a Palasamapati in general, that during that time you said that we might have actually we may not have the Vipaka Chitta Samapati.
Yes.
So it looks like he is free from the karma to some extent. But if there is still no karma jarupa, so how can you say that he is completely free from karma?
No. I didn't say that he is completely free from karma. So what happened was Jivita Sankara Tapana Palasamapati means one sickness was Buddha was afflicted by a certain sickness, lohita pakkhandika. He was having diarrhea. The blood was also flowing out. It can be lohita pakkhandika, can be either can be a vomiting or a diarrhea. So I think in Buddha's case the diarrhea was mentioned. Maybe he was also vomiting. I'm not sure about that. So even the blood was coming out. So it was a very serious sickness due to a past karma that he had done, because he being a physician, he cured a certain prince, and the prince didn't pay him as he promised. So he got very upset and he gave a new medicine that made him to suffer more. Even though he cured him, he re-gave another medicine with the evil intentions of making him to, like, hurting him. So as a result, he got this lohita pakkhandika. Now, viti mutta chittaja santatis, what I said was, karma is always functioning because the bhavanga chitta is produced, other kammaja rupas are produced, but to some extent, one way the karma is affecting our life is through the production of chittaja rupas by the bhavanga chittas. So actually it is a chittaja effect, but still, since the bhavanga chitta is the production of the past karma, we can see a linear effect of karma into our body. That effect is stopped during the samapattis. It's a very minor effect, but the karma, the patisandhi karma is still influencing. It's not only through chittaja rupas and kammaja rupas and vipaka chitta chesika, but it's completely entirely affecting the whole body. And many other karmas are also affecting. That's why various kammaja processes can be there with various karmas. And in the Buddha's case, the karma was a upapilaka vipaka. It was causing a sickness in him. Those utuja rupas that were sick were greatly affected by a akusala karma other than the patisandhi. Obviously, Buddha was born with a kusala karma, so some other akusala karma was affecting him. So beings are not free from karma during this process. So what I said was, to a certain extent, because if you analyze how the karma is affecting the life, one point is through the chittaja rupas produced by the bhavanga chittas, because bhavanga is produced by karma and these bhavanga chittas produce certain chitta rupas. That small effect is not there. That's what I meant actually. Then jivita sankara tapana samapatti. Now while in other samapattis also this effect is missing, and that is nothing related to the karma which gave the sickness to the Buddha, because it was a akusala karma. Buddha's bhavanga is affecting the body is through a kusala karma effect. Kusala karma produces Buddha's bhavanga and it affects the Buddha's body. So therefore the karma was still affecting. What happened was the karma was affecting the body and the body got sick. So Buddha produced some good quality chittaja rupas through this samapatti, and those rupas could overcome the sick rupas and subdue this for some time. But the cause was not completely removed because the karma was still affecting. Buddha couldn't overcome that karma lasted till his last moment. So that's the danger of akusala karma. I think even Samma Sambuddha could not overcome that karma till the parinibbana. So what he did was, the karma was still affecting, he put a sort of a layer or a cover, protection cover over it. That is through jivita tapana phala samapatti, jivita sankara tapana phala samapatti. It also shows us that the past effects of past karmas can be prevented through to some extent. I think we know that in some video games they have that a buffer. Sometimes so the enemies cannot attack you during that buffer period. So still the cause is there, attack is still there, the war is going on. So the city is not fully freed from the effects, but as long as the buffer is there, no missile can enter into it. So Buddha put a buffer on himself by entering into this jivita sankara tapana phala samapatti. So that's what I meant. Nothing to say is not to say that the karma is not affecting, because the effects of karma is various, and no living being in the universe can be free from the effects of karma, even to a single moment. Okay. Okay, then we'll conclude the class. Okay, thank you for listening, and hopefully we'll get the opportunity to do the class next week. But if not, if I have to attend the Upasampada ceremony, we'll be doing it on the next week. So thank you for listening. Hope you got some points through the lecture, and may this merit of studying and discussing Dhamma help us to attain the ultimate bliss of Nibbana, and may this merit help for the sustaining of the Buddha Sasana. Buddha Sasanang Chirantittatu. Buddha Sasanang Chirantittatu. Buddha Sasanang Chirantittatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.